12-year-old Lisa had never seen a real piano up close until that Tuesday morning in September. Her family lived in a small apartment above her uncle's auto repair shop, where the only music came from her mom's old radio that barely worked. The walls were thin, and she could hear the sound of car engines and metal tools clanging below every single day. When Lincoln Middle School announced that students could use the music room during lunch breaks, Lisa felt something pull at her chest. She couldn't explain it, but she wanted to see what was inside that room. Her friends thought she was crazy. "Why would you want to go in there?" asked her best friend Jenny during math class. "It's just a bunch of dusty instruments that nobody uses." But Lisa was curious. That same day during lunch, instead of sitting in the cafeteria eating her peanut butter sandwich, she walked down the hallway toward the music room. The door was open and she could see a few students inside. In the corner sat an old upright piano, its wood faded and some keys slightly yellowed with age. Lisa stepped inside quietly. The room smelled like old books and dust. A girl with perfectly styled hair was sitting at the piano, playing something that sounded fancy and complicated. Her name was Ashley, and everyone knew her family was rich. She had been taking piano lessons since she was 4 years old. "That was beautiful," said one of Ashley's friends when she finished playing. Lisa moved closer to get a better look at the piano. She had always wondered what it would feel like to press those black and white keys. When Ashley got up to talk to her friends, Lisa saw her chance. She sat down on the bench and carefully placed her fingers on the keys. The sound that came out was nothing like Ashley's playing. It was clumsy and loud, like someone dropping books on the floor. The other students turned around and started laughing. "Oh my God, what is she doing?" whispered Ashley, covering her mouth with her hand. "Some people just don't have musical talent," said another student named Brian. "It's not her fault, but maybe she should stick to other things." Lisa felt her face turn red. Her hands, which were rough from helping her dad fix things around the house, suddenly felt huge and clumsy on the delicate keys. She could hear more students laughing behind her. "Look at her trying to play like Ashley," someone said. "It's like watching someone try to paint with a hammer." Lisa quickly pulled her hands away from the keys and stood up. The laughter seemed to echo in her ears as she walked toward the door. But something strange happened as she was leaving. Even though she felt embarrassed and hurt, she also felt something else. The brief moment when her fingers touched those keys had felt right, like finding a piece of herself she didn't know was missing. That night, lying in her small bed with the sounds of the city outside her window, Lisa couldn't stop thinking about the piano. She kept moving her fingers, imagining they were touching those keys again. She had no idea that this embarrassing moment would change her life forever. The next day, Lisa found herself walking back to the music room. She told herself she was just curious, but deep down she knew she wanted to touch those keys again. This time, she waited until most students had left before going inside. The piano sat there like an old friend waiting for her. Lisa looked around to make sure no one was watching, then sat down at the bench. She pressed one key gently, then another. The sounds were still clumsy, but this time she didn't care who might hear. "Interesting choice," said a voice behind her. Lisa spun around to see Mrs. Rodriguez, the music teacher, standing in the doorway with a kind smile. "I'm sorry," Lisa said quickly, starting to get up. "I know I'm not supposed to." "Who said you're not supposed to?" Mrs. Rodriguez asked, walking closer. "This piano is here for students to use, but I have a question for you. Do you know anything about piano playing?" Lisa shook her head. "No, ma'am. I've never had lessons or anything like that." Mrs. Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. "Would you like to learn a few basic things? I have some time right now." For the next 20 minutes, Mrs. Rodriguez showed Lisa how to position her hands and which fingers to use for different keys. She taught her a simple melody, just 5 notes that made a pretty sound when played together. When Lisa managed to play it correctly, she felt a rush of joy, unlike anything she had ever experienced. "You have good instincts," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "Your hands find the right positions naturally." That afternoon, Lisa went to the public library and asked to use one of the computers. She searched for how to learn piano and found hundreds of videos online. There were lessons for beginners, songs broken down step by step, and people explaining how to read music. Lisa started visiting the library every day after school, watching these videos and taking notes in a small notebook she bought with her lunch money. She learned about something called scales, which were like exercises for your fingers. She learned about chords, which were multiple notes played at the same time to create harmony. But the best part was discovering new songs. She found simple melodies that even beginners could play, and she memorized them by watching the videos over and over again. At home, she would sit at her small desk and practice the finger movements on an imaginary piano, moving her hands silently while humming the melodies in her head. Her parents started to notice her strange behavior. "What are you doing with your hands, Mija?" her mother asked one evening while they were watching TV. "Just exercises," Lisa said, not wanting to explain about the piano. She was afraid they might think it was a waste of time, or that they would worry about her getting her hopes up about something the family couldn't afford. Meanwhile, at school, the music room became Lisa's secret hideaway. She would slip in during lunch, after school, and sometimes even before classes started in the morning. Each day her playing got a little bit better. The clumsy sounds started to become actual melodies. But the other students still laughed when they saw her there. "Look, it's our future concert pianist," Ashley would say whenever Lisa walked into the room. "How's your practicing going? Ready for Carnegie Hall yet?" The words stung, but Lisa was beginning to realize something important. When she sat at that piano and played, nothing else mattered. Not the laughing, not the small apartment, not the worry about whether her family had enough money for groceries that week. The music seemed to wash all of that away, leaving only the pure joy of creating something beautiful with her own two hands. 3 months had passed since Lisa first touched the piano keys. She could now play several simple songs from memory, and Mrs. Rodriguez had been quietly helping her during lunch breaks. Lisa thought her secret was safe until the day Principal Thompson made an announcement that changed everything. "Students," came the voice over the school's loudspeaker during first period. "Our annual spring talent show is coming up in 12 weeks. If you're interested in performing, please see Mrs. Rodriguez in the music room for audition information." Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. A talent show? She had never thought about performing in front of people. The idea was both exciting and terrifying. At lunch, the music room was buzzing with excitement. Ashley was there with her usual group of friends, talking loudly about her plans. "I'm definitely going to perform," Ashley announced. "My private teacher says I'm ready to play Chopin's Minute Waltz. It's one of the most difficult pieces for someone my age." Her friends gathered around her with impressed looks. "That sounds amazing," said Katie. "You'll probably win the whole thing." "Well, I have been playing for 8 years, Ashley said with a confident smile. "My parents are flying in my teacher from the city just to help me prepare for this performance." Lisa listened from across the room, feeling smaller with each word. 8 years of lessons, a private teacher flying in from the city? She had been playing for 3 months, teaching herself from library computer videos. But something inside her wouldn't let go of the idea. That night, she lay in bed thinking about how it would feel to share her music with other people. She imagined her parents in the audience, proud and surprised to discover this hidden talent their daughter had found. The next day, she approached Mrs. Rodriguez after class. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Lisa said quietly, "do you think, would it be crazy if I tried out for the talent show?" Mrs. Rodriguez looked at her thoughtfully. "Lisa, you've made incredible progress in just 3 months. But I have to ask, are you prepared for what that might mean? Performing in front of the whole school is very different from playing alone in here." "I know it sounds silly," Lisa said. "Ashley has been playing for 8 years and I've only been playing for 3 months. But when I play, it feels like I'm supposed to be doing this." Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "Music isn't just about how long you've been playing. It's about what you bring to the music. What song were you thinking of performing?" Lisa had been thinking about this for days. "There's this piece I found online called River Flows in You. It's not too complicated, but it's beautiful. I've been practicing it and I think I could learn it well enough by the talent show." "That's a lovely choice," Mrs. Rodriguez said. But Lisa, I want you to understand something. Some people might not expect much from you because you're new to piano. You'll need to be prepared for that. The next day in the music room, Lisa took a deep breath and made her announcement. I think I'm going to audition for the talent show too, she said quietly. The room went silent for a moment. Then the laughter started. You're joking, right? Ashley said, her eyebrows raised in disbelief. Lisa, that's sweet. But this is a real talent show, said another student named Derek. Ashley's been preparing for this her whole life. Maybe you could do something else, suggested Katie, trying to sound kind. Like, I don't know, maybe you could help with decorations or something? Lisa felt her face burning with embarrassment, but she also felt something else rising up inside her. Determination. I know I'm not as experienced as Ashley, Lisa said, her voice stronger than she felt. But I want to try. Ashley laughed, but it wasn't a mean laugh. It was worse. It was the kind of laugh that said she felt sorry for Lisa. Honey, I don't think you understand what you're getting yourself into. This isn't just playing around during lunch. This is performing in front of hundreds of people. My piece alone costs more to learn than most people spend on music in a year. The room was quiet again, and Lisa could feel everyone's eyes on her. She knew they all thought she was making a huge mistake. Maybe they were right. But as she looked at that piano, her piano, the one that had become her refuge and her joy, she knew she had to try. 2 weeks until auditions. Lisa had never worked so hard at anything in her life. Every morning she arrived at school 30 minutes early to practice. Every lunch break was spent at the piano. Every afternoon she rushed to the library to watch tutorial videos until closing time. Her chosen piece, River Flows in You, was more challenging than anything she had attempted before. The melody was beautiful but required smooth finger transitions and precise timing. Her rough hands, still calloused from helping her father with weekend construction work, struggled with the delicate touch the song demanded. At home, she practiced. On a paper keyboard she had drawn on a piece of cardboard, moving her fingers silently while humming the melody. Her little brother thought she had lost her mind. Why are you playing pretend piano? 7-year-old Carlos asked one evening. I'm practicing for something important, Lisa told him. But there's no sound, Carlos pointed out logically. Sometimes the music is in your head first, Lisa explained, not sure if she was making sense. Meanwhile, Ashley's preparation was the talk of the school. Students would gather around during her practice sessions to listen to her flawless performance of Chopin's Minute Waltz. The complex piece sounded like water dancing, with intricate runs and precise timing that showcased years of professional training. It's not even fair, Lisa overheard one student saying. Ashley could probably play professionally right now. I heard her private teacher charges $200 per lesson, whispered another. Lisa tried not to listen to these conversations, but they were everywhere. In the hallways, during classes, at lunch. Everyone seemed convinced that Ashley had already won. Mrs. Rodriguez found Lisa in the music room one afternoon, looking frustrated and defeated. What's wrong? The teacher asked gently. I don't know if I can do this, Lisa admitted. Every time I hear Ashley play, I realize how far behind I am. She makes it look so easy, and I'm still struggling with the middle section of my song. Mrs. Rodriguez sat down beside her on the piano bench. Lisa, can I tell you something? I've been teaching music for 15 years, and I've learned that technical perfection isn't everything. Yes, Ashley plays with excellent technique. But when I listen to you play, I hear something different, I hear heart. But what if I mess up during the audition? What if I forget the notes? What if you don't? Mrs. Rodriguez countered. Lisa, you've come further in 3 months than most students do in a year. But more importantly, you play because you love it. That passion shows in your music. That weekend, Lisa made a decision that surprised even herself. Instead of hiding her piano practice from her family, she told them everything. She explained about the music room, the talent show, and how playing piano had become the most important thing in her life. Her parents exchanged looks across their small kitchen table. Mija, her father said slowly. Why didn't you tell us about this before? I was afraid you'd think it was a waste of time, Lisa admitted. We can't afford piano lessons or anything like that. Her mother reached across the table and took Lisa's hands. Show us, she said simply. That evening, Lisa's family walked to the school with her. The janitor, Mr. Williams, was a family friend who let them into the music room. For the first time, Lisa played her song for an audience, her parents and little brother sitting in folding chairs in the empty music room. When she finished, there was silence. Then her father started clapping, tears in his eyes. I had no idea, he whispered. Lisa, that was beautiful. Her mother was crying too. We're so proud of you for working so hard at something you love. Walking home that night, Lisa felt different. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. The knowledge that no matter what happened at the audition, she had already accomplished something amazing. She had found her voice, and her family had heard it. 3 days until auditions. Lisa was ready to find out if the rest of the school was ready to hear it too. Audition day arrived gray and rainy, matching Lisa's nervous mood. She had barely slept the night before, running through her piece over and over in her mind. Her hands felt shaky as she walked through the school hallways, and she wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life. The school auditorium was set up with a single spotlight on the stage piano. 3 judges sat at a table in the front row: Mrs. Rodriguez, Principal Thompson, and Mr. Garcia from the high school music department. About 50 students filled the seats, either waiting for their turn or watching to see who their competition would-be. Ashley was scheduled to perform right before Lisa. As her name was called, she walked confidently onto the stage wearing a beautiful blue dress that probably cost more than Lisa's entire wardrobe. She sat at the piano with perfect posture and began Chopin's Minute Waltz. The performance was flawless. Every note was crystal clear, every transition smooth as silk. The complex runs sounded effortless, and the timing was absolutely perfect. When she finished, the auditorium erupted in applause. Students whistled and cheered. The judges nodded approvingly and wrote extensive notes. Wow, whispered someone behind Lisa. How is anyone supposed to follow that? Lisa felt her stomach drop. Ashley's performance had been everything everyone expected: professional, polished, and technically perfect. As the applause continued, Lisa wondered if she should just quietly leave through the back door. Lisa Martinez, called Principal Thompson. This was it. Lisa's legs felt like jelly as she walked down the aisle toward the stage. She could hear whispers following her. She's really going through with this? Poor kid doesn't know what she's getting herself into. This is going to be painful to watch. Lisa climbed the steps to the stage, and suddenly the auditorium felt enormous. The spotlight was brighter than she had expected, and she could barely see the audience beyond the first few rows. Her hands were trembling as she sat at the piano bench. She placed her fingers on the keys and took a deep breath. For a moment she forgot where she was. This was just her and the piano, like all those lunch breaks and early morning practice sessions. She began to play. The opening notes of "River Flows in You" filled the auditorium. Unlike Ashley's technically perfect performance, Lisa's playing had small imperfections. A slightly hesitant transition here, a note that wasn't quite as crisp there. But something else filled the music. Something that couldn't be taught in expensive lessons. As Lisa played, she thought about her journey. She remembered that first embarrassing day when everyone laughed at her clumsy attempts. She thought about the hours spent practicing on her cardboard keyboard, the determination that kept bringing her back to this piano day after day. She thought about her parents' tears when they heard her play for the first time. All of these emotions flowed through her fingers and into the music. The melody soared and dipped, carrying with it the story of a girl who had found something beautiful in an unlikely place. The song spoke of dreams that seemed impossible, of working hard when no one believed in you, of finding your voice when the world told you to stay quiet. The auditorium had grown completely silent. Students who had been whispering stopped mid-sentence. The judges sat forward in their chairs. Even Ashley, who had been confident in her victory moments before, found herself caught up in the haunting beauty of Lisa's performance. This wasn't just technical skill. This was music that told a story. It was the difference between playing notes perfectly and playing music that touched people's hearts. As Lisa approached the final section of the piece, she realized something amazing. She wasn't nervous anymore. She was exactly where she belonged. The piano wasn't just an instrument, it was her voice, her way of sharing something beautiful with the world. The last note faded into silence. For what felt like forever, no one moved. Then slowly Mrs. Rodriguez began to clap. Principal Thompson joined her, then Mr. Garcia. One by one the students began to applaud, and soon the entire auditorium was on its feet. But Lisa barely heard the applause. As she stood up from the piano bench, she saw her parents and little brother in the back of the auditorium. They had come to surprise her, and tears were streaming down their faces. When the judges announced the results an hour later, Lisa's name was called as the winner. But by then, she had already won something more important. She had proved to herself, and to everyone else, that talent doesn't come from expensive lessons or perfect technique. It comes from passion, determination, and the courage to share your gift with the world, even when everyone expects you to fail. As Lisa walked across the stage to accept her award, she looked out at the applauding audience and smiled. The girl, who had been laughed at for touching the keys, had found her voice, and the world was finally listening.